Kate Hudson stood at the podium, emotions rising, as she accepted the 2025 Pioneer of the Year Award at the Will Rogers Motion Picture Pioneers Dinner in Beverly Hills. But she didn't treat it as a solo victory. From the start, she wove into her speech a luminous tribute to Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, the two pillars whose support and love she credits for every step she's taken. She looked out at the room, eyes misting, and said she tries to live in a way that they can be proud of, and that her life and work are built on the legacy of values they instilled in her. The applause that followed didn't just celebrate Kate, it celebrated a family, a lineage, a generational bond made visible on that stage. She recalled how Goldie taught her not only to pursue art, but to live with compassion and integrity. And she praised Kurt for reminding her that character matters, not just success. She referred to them as the center of our family, marveling anew at how Kurt adores her mother even now, how their partnership, nearly 50 years in the making, continues to radiate in small, buoyant moments. Flashes from that night remain etched in memory. Goldie and Kurt standing side by side with Kate, beaming. Flashes of cameras recording not just a Hollywood stat, but a family portrait of love and mutual respect. Kate's journey to that point has never been a smooth ascent, and she knows it. In earlier years, she declined a role in a film tied to Kurt Russell, admitting candidly that she didn't want her career to be defined by her familial connections. She said she recognized that those are the kinds of choices that define you, that set the trajectory. She told listeners that growing up around movie sets gave her an early love for film, but she also realized that the trappings of fame could subsume identity if you don't choose carefully. That decision to walk her own path haunted her, challenged her, but eventually fortified her. That same night, Kate turned heads in a dramatic strapless Oscar de la Renta gown with a feather print design that glinted like optical illusion waves across the fabric. Her hair was swept back, her jewels flickering, and she radiated the kind of poise that made every camera frame count. But the real spectacle was in her words. Gratitude, humility, reverence for legacy. She invited the audience into her inner life. She named her parents' steadfast love, their quirks, joking about how they've kept the same hairstyles for decades, and their sacrifices. She made clear that this award, though in her name, was theirs too. We cannot talk about Goldie and Kurt without looking at their extraordinary story. They first met in the 1960s, reconnected in 1983 on Swing Shift, and from that moment forged a relationship free of traditional marriage, rooted instead in choice, respect, autonomy. Over the past 40-plus years, their bond has deepened, not because it's been easy or without conflict, but because they've chosen each other every day. They raised a blended family. Goldie's children, Kate and Oliver, from her prior marriage, Kurt's son, Boston, from another relationship, and their own son, Wyatt, together. They modeled a relationship that isn't defined by contract, but by consistency, respect, hard work. Much has been written about how their romance endures. They've starred in films together, walked red carpets together, and navigated Hollywood's pressures quietly, gracefully. Theirs is a love that defies the clock and refuses simple labels. Kate often speaks of seeing in them a living textbook for partnership, how to disagree and stay together, how to pursue your own dreams while caring deeply for another, how to balance public life and private soul. Public reactions that night buzzed through social feeds. Fans celebrated Kate's humility and praised her for turning the spotlight onto her roots rather than steering it solely to herself. Headlines blared, "Goldie and Kurt support Kate on stage. Hollywood royalty, a family united. Legacy, love, loyalty." Articles highlighted those lines from her speech, about purpose and identity, about forging a life built on meaning rather than acclaim. Fashion outlets lingered on her gown, but most paused longer on her words. The gratitude, the quiet strength, the quiet acknowledgement that success feels sweetest when shared. In recent interviews, too, Kate has opened windows into this dynamic. She's spoken about watching Kurt's sets as a child, of sliding down inflatable props, of being curious and drawn to the storytelling world. But she's been equally firm that she wanted to be more than a Hollywood kid. She wanted her own footprint. And so she made choices. She said in one conversation, "I sort of realized that's when you start making choices that define your career." She turned down projects that could tether her identity to theirs, and now, years later, she stands as someone whose career is hers alone, yet threaded with gratitude to those who believed in her first. Meanwhile, others close to the family offer their perspectives. Actress Brenda Song, Kate's co-star in Running Point, confesses she still feels nervous around Goldie and Kurt, starstruck by their decades-long reverence in Hollywood, yet charmed by their warmth. She describes them as legends, even in private settings, and says she can feel their pride when they attend Kate's premieres or walk by her side. That subtle influence ripples outward. Their presence itself becomes a kind of endorsement, a sign that says, "We stand behind her." In the backdrop of all this is Almost Famous, the film that catapulted Kate into public consciousness. In 2025, she celebrated its 25th anniversary at that very pioneer dinner. She spoke of how lines from her character, Penny Lane, the yearning, the sense of longing, the wisdom mixed with youthful wonder, continued to resonate, echo through new generations. She said the film keeps renewing itself, that new fans discover it, new lines become quotes, new women see themselves in her portrayal. And she accepted the award not just as an acknowledgement of past work, but as a moment of renewal, integrity, continuity. That evening, the dinner raised $1.3 million for the Pioneers Assistance Fund, money that will support film industry workers facing financial hardship. Kate's award is embedded in this mission, as much about giving back as about receiving honor. She thanked Cameron Crowe, the director, for presenting the award, and Ike Barinholtz for his moving remarks. She reminded the audience that the film world is a tapestry, woven not just from stars, but from every hand that crafts a set, edits a frame, builds a scene. When Kate glances toward Goldie and Kurt as the crowd rises in applause, the moment stretches. There's pride, yes. There's generational love. There's gratitude and legacy all at once. It signals that for her, the most meaningful successes are those that ripple into family, into memory, into purpose beyond the red carpet. That is the story she unveiled that night. So, when we say Kate Hudson reacts to Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell's sweet career support, the reaction isn't passive. It's a living, luminous embrace. It's public thanks, inward humility, an acknowledgement that legacy is not just what we receive, but what we carry forward. And in that moment, Kate doesn't just react, she echoes. She becomes part of the story they began. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.